My name is Enuibo Daniela Chiamaka. I am from Delta State, but the Igbo part of Delta. So I'm from Idumujuboko. I am an architect by profession. I go by the Shoe Architect. The name of my company is DNL Africa. So I spent 8 years in the university studying architecture, also furthering into my master's. But along the line, somewhere around 2012, I realized that I love shoes. So I love leather. I've always been invested in leather. I love the smell of leather amazingly. So that's one of the things that made me like being drawn to leather. So I just started with bags and being so curious about how shoes were made and bags were made. So I always dismantled my items. And again, my friends when I was younger, they used to yell at me that I have what we call scissors leg. There's no slippers I wear that will never cut. So any slippers I wear always cut, even if I wear their own. So they always hide their footwear from me. And I realized that truthfully, this is not my fault. I don't think these footwear are actually made of high quality. So whenever I see my footwear, I open it up and I'm looking at the leather and I'm like, I can rip this leather apart with my hand. Why do people produce footwears like this? So there was somebody that I saw that makes footwear along the road. So I saw him and I was like, bros, I beg, I feel just come work for your shop, once in a while. I already have my own brand, but I want to perfect my hand. So he was like, no problem, I can come. And then I started when there were very few ladies doing shoemaking. So sometimes I'll be trying to work and people will be passing and they'll stop and they'll just be looking at me like, what is happening? What's this girl doing and stuff like that. So I stayed with him. The people who taught me how to sew were a group of 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds. The youngest apprentice in the shop, because as long as you are in the shoemaker's shop, the youngest is the earliest, the latest to come. There's no age or anything. That's how the hierarchy. So whoever is ahead of you will teach you. So that's how I learned. I learned under him for about 1 year. People are really wondering why I decided to do revamp, and it's like professional aboki. That's what revamp is. Revamping a shoe is trying to fix an error you did not create. It's trying to correct something that you don't know how it was being made. The reason why people throw away shoes, the reason why people don't keep the items, their bags and all of that is because there is nobody to repair it as good as the manufacturer did. And they don't have access to the manufacturer. And most of all these shoes and bags, they are worth a lot of money. And I kind of have tried to analyze the reason why these items get really bad. It's because our weather is not really friendly with the weather of like other countries, all these manufacturing countries. Let's say the weather in Paris now is actually, cool and chilled, but the weather in Nigeria is really hot. And these leathers can actually, serve there, but they can't serve here. So by the time they are shipped in fact, the shipping process is enough to damage the items. I know of many resellers who bring items and like, I don't know what happened. They just all got bad. When I brought them in, they were all bad already because most times they take a lot of time there. So when they bring it here, what we do is that we try to dismantle everything. We try to replicate the pattern as best as we can, because I'm DNL. And of course, the bag will look DNL. Most of these items, they hold memories. Some of the items, we have revamped bags of 20 years. We have revamped shoes that the husband used to propose to his wife, and this woman just said, this is the only thing that keeps me close to my, diseased or stuff like that. There was someone who brought his brother's footwear and he said, no, this footwear is the only thing that keeps me close to my late brother, and I need it to still be with me. I want it. And we just replicated the whole thing. Of course, we are creating something close. So I just realized that when you are traveling the road less traveled, you are creating solutions for people. And when you create solutions for people, you will draw people to you. So you see this leather works, shoemaking and all. Leather works is very vast. The problem is that everybody wants to do the same thing. Everybody wants to create new footwear, slippers and all. How many new products are we going to create in a year? How many people are really creating new things? If your product is that durable, do you know people can use it for years and it's going to last? I would say it's a profitable business for me per se, because I have been able to thankfully find ways to um, make profits while serving the public, right? So, what actually makes a business profitable if you are able to solve problems and create solutions, of which I'm sure I've been able to do that with this revamp. Initially, when it was just the footwear, making of new footwears and all, in like a month, I can count the number of footwears I make for people. The key things that affect me, first of all, funding, finance, because if you really want to make money from something, you have to invest in it. You have to invest money back into it. So I don't have an external funding source into this business. So the only thing that has been sustaining this business has been the business itself. And when a baby is trying to like crawl, if you demand so much from the baby, you might not really get its full potential. So this is still a growing business, and the business has not gotten to the stage where it can properly fund itself and stand on its own by itself, pay the workers and all. That's one of the major challenges we're having, because we need finance, we need funding for machines to upscale and to upgrade. So we need a lot of machines. There's some machines that I need to get, and we also need space, because we've gotten so choked up, because we have a lot of students that come in to train, and as a school of shoemaking, we need space for our students. The economy affects us sometimes because we have increase of cost of materials, and we have issues with deliveries, issues with way bills. People need to send their items all the way, and the timeline that they need to get it back. Sometimes we just have a lot, so we need labor also. So the lesson I learned is take everything one step at a time. If you rush into it, you rush out. Do your research before venturing out. Before you put out any product there, test it yourself. Make sure that you can stand by it. Make sure that you are so good before you bring out yourself and tell people that I'm good, so that people can trust in what you say. Your words can be your bond. Will I say my key strength is consistency. I'm always here. I'm always going, even when I don't feel like it. I wake up and I'm here. Even if it's just to come and sit and just look around, I make sure I'm here. And then guard your heart, guard your mind. Make sure you're positive. It may not be easy, but it's possible. Financial support. Financial support will go a very long way, and easy on the taxes. The government processes should be easy. Approvals, registration of business, because it's so expensive now. I just registered my business, over 100,000. If they can invest in us, there's a lot of talent. If you see what comes out of Nigeria, not talk of Africa, is a lot of revenue for the government. So I think that's what I would like to see.
Hi, my name is Hassan Amaina. I'm the Executive Director of Anti-Sexual Violence Lead Support Initiative, short for As Well Support Initiative. I'm a lawyer as well. I write poems sometimes, so I think I'm a poet. Yes, I think basically that's all about me. So I think the story behind As Well Support Initiative is one of realization that something has to be done about sexual gender-based violence. In 2018, this young lady came up on Twitter to speak about how her boyfriend assaulted her, and it sparked the campaign, the I Will Me Too campaign. And that gave courage to other people to come up and speak about sexual violence and how they've been assaulted, by people close to them, uncles, relatives, etc. And it got me thinking about when I was in year one in the university, and we were a group of roughly 10 girls sitting in the hostel floor talking. And almost everyone had a story about being assaulted by an older male relative, or someone that was close to them when they were young. And I think having to read all the horror stories then in 2018 and relating it back to my year one in the university just got me thinking that something must be done. So then we started a movement, So in Maiduguri, I gathered young people together, and we went to schools, we went to communities, and we're speaking about sexual gender-based violence. And we're talking about the culture of shame and silence, because we've realized that this culture of shame and silence further emboldens perpetrators to just keep it up, because at the end of the day, you rape someone and nobody is shaming you, instead they're shaming the victim or the survivor. They're saying, why are you wearing what you're wearing? Why are you out at night? Why are you? And that movement kept on. We kept on going to schools, communities, just speaking about the culture of shame and silence. But it also got me thinking, because I was a law student at the time, what about the legislation? So then there was the clamor on the VAP Act. So we did the North Normal campaign, where we brought young people together that were state leads from different states in northern Nigeria. And I coordinated that rally. And the aim was simple: to just stand in front of the State House of Assembly of each of these states and to call for a domestication of the VAP Act. So the VAP Act is the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, which has been passed by a National Assembly since 2015, but it hasn't been domesticated in some states in the country. In fact, in so many states in the country at that time. I think at the time it was only Kaduna, in northern Nigeria that had domesticated the act. But since then, the act has been domesticated across so many other states. So in Maiduguri, where I was, we had the campaign. We had it in Sokoto, in Bauchi, in Yobe, in Kano, etc. Around 8 states. Even Kaduna had a solidarity campaign. So since then, we've gotten the VAP Act, to pass. But afterwards, I went for my master's, and during my master's, I was out with my friends, and then I went to use the restroom. And behind the restroom, it just showed, are you on a date? Is it not going well? Go to the bartender and ask of Angela, the person, the receptionist, the bartender, whoever is on duty would take you out without a fuss. And it got me thinking, if it was in Nigeria, it would be like you're out with a man at this time of the night, all of those things that would invalidate your story of either being harassed or, being abused by someone. And I started to think around how the whole social psyche of people must change. We must frown against abuse in all its form, that people don't feel safe. When you abuse somebody, you automatically just feel like, I've done this and I'm no longer part of the community, because the community would not accept you. And it got me thinking about the public space. It got me thinking about women in the public space. It got me thinking around how sexual gender-based violence, because of my community engagement, I would hear men say, oh, I don't want my wife to go to work. I don't want my daughters. Is it the same school you want our daughters to go to where teachers assault girls? Is it the same? So because of that, it's like, oh, I don't want my wife to do all this. I don't want my daughter to do all this. So we're protecting her from the public space. And it got me thinking, we cannot achieve gender equality if we don't have women in the public space. We cannot in all certainty have women in public space if we do not take away the factor, that benevolent misogyny uses to shield women away from the public space. So what do? We have to ensure that sexual gender-based violence in all its form is condemned, and in all its form it's stopped. Part of what we do at As for Support Initiative is to have the ambitious statement of ending SGBV, in our communities. Okay, so I think for me, my whole life is a testament of mentorship. I have had so many people support the work that I do, and even if it's not like financial support, even if it's just saying, "Hey, you're doing well," even if it's reading your concept notes and brainstorming on ideas, even if it's just having conversations on the things that you say you want to do, I've had ample of those supports. With regards to training, when we started, there were so many organizations that wanted to partner with us and wanted to even apply with us. And like up until now, we still have support. Where as a young organization, as a young women-led organization, we've got bigger organizations saying, "Oh, we've got this grant. Come and let us have a consortium. So we can apply for this together." We've got also old bigger organizations saying, "Oh, we're allowed to subgrant this, so we would." It's still in the work, nothing's been out yet, but these are part of conversations that we're still exploring. But when I think about nonprofit, for me, it's about how can we encourage local philanthropy. So even the experiment I'm doing with Aswell Support Initiative is to see how we can push for local philanthropy. This is our issue. This is an issue here. This is something that we all agree that is not normal. And that's why even with the campaign that we did for the VAP Act, it's called Not Normal. A play of, for the word not and normal. So like, this is not normal. Sexual violence is not normal. So if we've all agreed that this is not normal, how can we ensure that we're able to put our resources towards fighting this? How can we ensure that we've got more people to care about these issues, that they're able to say, okay, I have salary of maybe 50,000 naira per month, but I care about this cause and I'm going to give 100 naira every month, towards this cause. How can we have more people do this? So that's part of, what we're exploring and part of the strategies we want to employ to see how we can sustain an organization. Okay, so I have been involved in this work since 2018. Um, it started, with the campaign, like I mentioned, and then since then it has just been building and building and building and building. For me, I think my biggest achievement would be seeing the VAP Act, Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, being passed, especially in states like Sokoto and Borno, because when we're having that rally, it wasn't easy. In states like Sokoto, the state lead was beaten, she was brutalized. Her hands was even broken. In states like Borno, they agreed for us to have the rally, and then on the day they said we couldn't have the rally anymore. But with the kind support of State House of Assembly member, he asked us to come into the State House to be able to do our rally, and that was beautiful. So for me, I think having the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act passed it's one thing that I still look back and I'm just so grateful to have been able to contribute in my own little way, to seeing this become a reality. So I think the biggest challenge that we face in social development work is where people now look at people that own social development work as the government. So I feel like there is a gap between beneficiaries, and the government and the people that do social development work, where accountability is now shifted to those that are doing social development work instead of those that, have been elected. So for instance, Aswell Support Initiative is not a response organization. What we do is try to see how we can work on policies, how we can help, with policy engagement, community engagement, policy advocacy rather, community engagement, how we can do research, how we can help with creating awareness, etc. But at the end of the day, we then have to see, sometimes you then get calls in the middle of the night that, oh, this person has been raped, this person. And before you know it, this is not part of your purview. This is not what you're doing, but you have to then do it because also there is limited resources, government resources to be able to do these things. So you have to now take up the mantle to do certain things that ideally, should be that of the government. And then when it comes to funding, the civic space keeps shrinking by the day. we keep on having problems with regards funding, because now donors have more stringent rules, towards being able to access some forms of funding. So as a young women-led organization, for instance, if they have such strict stringent rule of you must have existed for 5 years or for 10 years or for, and you have all of these ideas, but like nobody is giving money in your hands to be able to do it, then you have to think about other ways to see how you can do the things that you're doing. So what could have been done on such a large scale, you end up doing it on such a small scale, and it's kind of demoralizing, because you know what you can do, with the right amount of funding. And also, I think when I talk about the shrinking civic space, we must talk about government's responsibility in ensuring that the civic space keeps on shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. With all of these stringent regulations, on non-governmental organizations, and all the time, the government keeps thinking of new ways, to ensure that it brings new regulations to kind of further strangulate, non-governmental organizations. So, but also, even with the community that you're engaging, there's also a whole lot of gaps you tend to see. So you go to community to engage them on SGBV, on the culture of shame and silence, because you want to push behavioral change. But then you get slapped, or you get face-to-face with poverty. Then you get face-to-face with health crisis. Then you get face-to-face with lack of access to education. Then you get so all of these things are then intersect in a way that ends up becoming a big bowl of rubbish, and you're like, where am I starting from? What do I do next? And then you're doing all of this work, but then it always just seems like it's not enough, or you're not doing anything, because at the end of the day, people that are supposed to have been doing this work, so that you can just augment what they're doing, have not been doing the work. So at the end of the day, it's just like, where do we start from? And that's why part of the work we do at As Support Initiative when it comes to policy advocacy is to also look at government's budget. How can we push for more gender responsive budgeting, especially with regards how governance is done in the country? So, how much money is government putting into girls' education? How much money is government putting into, women's healthcare? How much money is government putting? So, because you cannot say you care about women in all of these ways, if it doesn't translate to how, if your money is not where your mouth is, basically. So yeah. I think what I've learned is that the best life to live is that of impact. What keeps me or wakes me up every morning is knowing that I'm coming to meet a team of talented, passionate young people that are working so hard to ensure that we have changes in our communities. And seeing that these people are willing to stake their neck, to do this work with or without funding, to do this work with or without the right support, to do this work even when it's unpopular to do so, makes me believe in humanity. It gives me courage to know that the next generation, our generation, would change things up. Our generation is really ready to take responsibility for our communities, to take responsibility for our lives. And that just keeps me inspired. But more specifically, with regards to the work that I do in gender, I have learned the unfortunate lesson that misogyny is a worldwide phenomenon. It might rear its ugly head in different ways. It might show up in different circumstances, but everywhere in the world, misogyny thrives. So when we work in our own little corner here at As Support Initiative and we're challenging misogynistic practices, we must then think about how people in South Africa are doing the same, people in Germany are doing the same, people in the US are doing, because if we don't come together, to work on that system, then changes will just happen in small pockets, But for us to have changes in really large scale that we want to have it, then we must ensure that we come together and we're able to exchange knowledge and also exchange solutions. Lessons to young women. Be yourself. But you cannot be yourself if you don't know yourself. Listen, the the work of getting to know yourself is not a pretty one, you know. I know that we're all on Pinterest, and we've all we glorify our lives, or what is the word they call beautify. There's a way we do it. You wake up, you have a cup of coffee, and then you go for your hot girl work, and you do this. All of these are the pretty things that you can show on Instagram, but really knowing yourself is taunting. It's ugly. It's it's a lot of work, but you must do that. You must do that so that you know yourself. And when you know yourself, you should ensure that you love every part of yourself, because the world would hate you. The world would hate you for being fat. The world would hate you for being too skinny. The world would hate you because your hair is not long enough. The world would hate you because you are too loud. You're too opinionated. You're too everything. But once you know yourself, once you love yourself, once you can go back and sleep, knowing that you're that girl, nothing will stop you. So I think for the longest, I've always lived in my ecosystem. I've always lived because I've intentionally surrounded myself with people that think like me, with people that have the same values and moral system as I do, with people that we have similar icks and similar things that gets us angry and gets us happy. The older I get, the more I try to reach out to other people. I've come to realize that we're very different and we think very differently. And unfortunately, some thoughts are very dangerous, and some thoughts are very divisive, and some thoughts are injurious. So I've also come to realize that I cannot combat those thoughts by being very combative or being very, because the same way I hold on to some values so strongly is the same way other people have been taught to hold on to their values, and no matter what it is, so strongly. And that's one of the things we try to do at As Well Support Initiative, is if someone has, let's say, oh, I don't like women. Women are supposed to just cook and not go anywhere. Women are supposed to be locked up in the house forever. Women, and they hold on to those values strongly, perhaps because of the environment they grew up in, or the kind of, knowledge that have been available to them. How can we ensure that we combat that knowledge with more knowledge? And how can we ensure that that knowledge is readily available, just so that everybody is able to look at these things, and everybody is able to, because I think I trust in the human mind. I trust in the human mind to be rational. I trust in the human mind to be kind. I trust in the human mind to be empathetic, to others. So how can we ensure that we give all the resources that is necessary to ensure that another person that is thinking, oh, women don't deserve anything, ends up saying the information that we put out there, ends up saying, because we have a podcast called Let's Talk SGBV, where we try to make it humorous, where we try to make it serious, where we try to make it, all those forms. But the aim is just for us to talk about sexual gender-based violence. So imagine someone having access to that resource, and able to listen to people's stories, and able to look at it, and able to see things that sort of relate to that person. What kind of a world will we create, when we combat bad knowledge, with good knowledge? So instead of when someone says, oh, this, and then you're shouting and nobody's hearing anyone, how can you, I don't like the word bigger person, but just how can you ensure that you have more responsibility in ensuring that we keep our planet sane? That you have such personal responsibility, and you're saying, okay, I will keep myself aside. I'll keep ego aside. I'll keep all of this aside, and I will try to see how we can get to a place of understanding with this person. I think that's one of my dreams. It's hard, because if you know me, you know that I can be very combative as well. but that's my aspiration, really. That's what I aspire to be, and I hope we all aspire to do the same and be the same.
My name is Ebosetale Osunde. I graduated from University of Benin. I studied accounting. After that, I came to Nasarawa for my youth service. During my service year, I decided to learn a skill which I furthered to do wig styling. I picked wig styling because I've always loved hair right from a very young age. I helped my mom basically then to style her hair. I was like more likely like she would always call me, come and style my hair, come and dress my hair, and I really enjoyed doing it. So I figured out that it is something I love a lot. There was a time I had a conversation with a friend. I told her that I would really love to advance my skills in wig making. So she referred me to a lady that has a business, whereas she does wig making, wig styling, ventilation, and what have you, everything concerning hair. So I had a lot of interest. Then I went to the school. She had a class we did for like 3 months. So during the class, she did not just teach us about wig styling. She taught us wig making. She taught us hair ventilation. She taught us wig installation. So aside from that, she also gave us knowledge that we could also make money from it while doing something that we love. I have been styling wigs and making wigs for 2 years. Some of the benefits of wig making is one, like we have a wide range of market, high demand. So there will always be demand for hair. Basically, hair is the beauty of a woman. So every lady will want to put on hair and look beautiful. So this is one of the benefits. We always have customers to reach out to. Wig making is a profitable type of business if you have high level of experience, if you have high quality materials. If you just don't go over quantity but go over quality, you tend to build a quality customer and trustworthy customer. So basically, it just has to do with you as a person putting your business in a high and quality level. Then it will give you a very high profitable, turnover. My challenges include customer satisfaction. There are different human beings and it's very difficult to meet people's needs. So sometimes you find out that you are doing your most, whereas the customers will not be satisfied. Then we also have competitors. The market is wide. You have a lot of, opponents. You have to be in track. You have to, keep on learning skills and having more knowledge just so that you will not be pushed out of market. Sourcing of materials, sourcing for products can be challenging based on fake products, fake materials. You can get a particular product, getting home and find out that you bought a very fake product at a high cost. So basically these are some of the challenges. Then fluctuation of the economy. You can go to the market today and buy for a low rate. You can go back tomorrow and buy for a higher rate. How would you bring this to your customers and tell them that prices has changed? So it also affects the profitability of the business. When you provide quality services to your customers, you tend to create friendship, bond, high customer rates, referrals, and all of that. So that is also revenue. It tends to bring revenue to the business. Then you have customer relationship, like I earlier stated. You just have to have good customer relationship with your customers, which in turn will bring profits to the business. I would prefer you have quality services than making a mass range of wigs and styling a lot of hair with low quality. So when you do this, you have quality customers, and your customers will have high trust for your products and will always refer you to other clients, which basically bring more revenue to you. Then basically good customer relationship. We have different people and how they behave. You should be able to manage customers. You should be able to manage people in their various behavior, so which will help you keep your customers in check. First thing, I did not start up like this. I started somewhere. I started from learning the trade. I started from working with someone to now owning my own. So over time, I have grown. I have learned. I am learning. I'm still learning. So I would just say it's the consistency for me. Just keep on trying, keep on pushing, keep on moving forward. You find out that you find yourself wherever you want to be. First thing is to make the step, make the move. You don't just have to keep on wishing and hoping you have something. If you want to learn wig styling, check online, ask people, talk to anyone. They will refer you to someone. Learn it. You start from there. You don't need to start big. You can start very, very small, just like how I started. You can work for someone for a period of time, gather more experiences, then you find yourself growing. I learned wig styling while I was, doing my NYSC service. So basically, I did not have enough fund. When I went to the place where I wanted to learn, the woman was really kind enough and she allowed me to pay instrumentally. And also, I was able to raise from savings, from friends' support, from family support. So that enabled me to pay instrumentally for the services. Government can aid and assist young ladies like me by opening a skill acquisition where girls can come in to acquire different skills. It could be wig styling, it could be braiding of hair, it could be clothes making, whatever kind of skill that they want to acquire. Government could fund such initiative. They can give general speech and general knowledge. This is creating awareness that as a young lady, you should have a skill that you can do from the comfort of your home. You can do like just basically doing something with your bare hands. So there should be public awareness towards that. There should be a general awareness because people tend to look down on these skills and feel like, oh, if you are a wig maker or shoemaker, you are less. You have to be a doctor, you have to be an engineer, you have to be, one of those professions. But there should be an awareness that these things are aiding young people and are assisting them in making money for themselves. So there should be a general awareness to note that they are not just basically nothing, that this is a good job, it's hard work, and they should be applauded. I use my accounting skills for wig making because as an accountant, I am taught to manage my resources very well. And for wig making, you have to also know how to manage your resources. You have to manage people too. So it's a lot. I, take note of all my expenses. I take note of my revenue. I take note of everything just so that I'll know I'm making profit, and where I am making some lapse, I have to correct it. So I basically use my accounting skills for my wig making skills. So you see, no knowledge is lost and they all work hand in hand. Biggest achievement basically is anytime I see my customers happy. It's always give me this thing of fulfillment. Like if they bring in their wigs or hair looking rough, ugly, or whatever way they bring it, and I give them a very good and quality services, they come back and they're like, is this my hair? Is this my hair? Like they are so happy and full of excitement. So basically this is my greatest moment. Whenever I see that my customers are happy, I put smiles on their faces. So anytime I see them happy, I'm happy.
Hello, my name is Hadiza Osman Shetima. I'm the founder and managing director of the Duchess of Kukawa, a fashion house located in Abuja. The Duchess of Kukawa, okay, let me start from where the name came from. Originally, my elder sister calls herself the Duchess of Kuka? Well, she wasn't doing anything with the name, and when I decided to start my business, I stole it. Well, what are big sisters for? And I'm from Kuka, so. Well, right from when I was a kid, I've always had this thing where if my clothes aren't sewn right, I'm not going to wear them. So what my dad does is when Eid clothes or any other outfit is taken to the tailor, he pays extra for mine because I have to go and sit with the tailor and tell him what to do and how to do it. That's the only way I'm gonna wear the clothes. So, and it became easier for me as I grew older because I think I started doing that when I was like 7, 8. So my sisters realized that their clothes weren't turning out as fine as mine. So, or as nice as mine. So they made me the middle person between them and the tailors. So I charge a little. Sometimes I trade my chores if they didn't have money, and then that's where I started. And I was in the university. I was in 200 level, and I was dead broke. And as the hustler that I am, I charged my friends money because they were always, your dresses are nice, your designs are unique, how do you get this tailor to make this? And I'm like, okay, I'll take the measurements, take it to the tailor, make sure it's done right, and then add maybe 1-2K on it, and then that's how it started. Of course, yes. I saw this what do you call it? This ad on Dildy. They were like, I think it was really, the price was really, really, really low, and I was like, why don't I try this? It was at Omega Center in Wuse 2, Kathy Fashion Academy. So I bought the deal, went there for like 2 weeks, then I realized that everything they were teaching me I already knew. And then I decided to learn from the artisans themselves. Like, that's the purest form of learning to me. So, and I prefer doing things with my hands, like practical things, instead of sitting in a classroom and learning things that don't really make sense. So, and I'm good with my hands, so it came easy. Definitely my siblings. My parents are late, may Allah bless their soul. My siblings were really supportive because I was learning from their houses. I was messing up their houses with pieces of clothing here and there, and they pushed me, and alhamdulillah, I'm here where I am today because of them. I think I've always known that if I wasn't going to practice geology, I'm a geologist. Like, that's what I actually studied. So, and studying geology in Nigeria is, with the insecurity and me being a female from northern Nigeria, I knew that one day I would want to start my own family, and whatever it is I do, I like to do it to the fullest. Like, I don't want to be a geologist and sit behind the desk. That's not what geologists are trained to do. So if I'm not going to be a field geologist, then I'm not going to do that. Then fashion is the only other thing that I do effortlessly, that gives me joy, that I never get tired of. So why not? They say, do what you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. And well, the thing is, I started with almost, I think, it was crazy how I started because I didn't have anything. I didn't even have, what do you call it? Actually, I just started from rock bottom, and whatever it is I got, the profit, I didn't keep anything for myself. I put it back into the business, and that was how I kept growing. Mentorship. Yeah, there are, but they're really not directly related to fashion. Like, it's more of life experiences, how to handle pressure, how to handle failures, how to grow, and lessons that doesn't necessarily that isn't really directly related to fashion. It's just life experience. Exactly, life coaches, and I have a lot of them. I can't even begin to mention. Yeah, what we fail to understand, what a lot of business owners in Nigeria fail to understand is, when you start, we all love money, obviously. I'm doing this for the money, mostly. So when we start a business and we're only looking at the profit to get, we won't really go far. Ideally, a business is not supposed to turn in any profit, ideally, till I think the second year. That's if you really want to start right. And inshallah, before the year runs out, we're opening stores in the UK, the US, and Canada. Definitely the greatest challenge I faced in this line of business, and I'm still facing, because I even had to deal with a problem this morning before this, is dealing with people. The customers are I've had the chance to meet a lot of amazing clients that make what I do very, very worthwhile. And then I've met clients from hell. And also the staff, oh my God. I think that's the greatest challenge, because most of the tailors are not really educated, and unfortunately dealing with people that aren't educated is unbelievably difficult. Of course, as a Nigerian, you'll have to make provision for all these inevitable challenges that will come up. Light, of course, we know, even though, in all honesty, for the past few months, light has been okay here, but still, we work round the clock. We work 24 hours. There are people that work during the day, and we have people that run shifts at night. So whenever there's no light, we'll definitely have to run a generator, and the current fuel prices, and well, alhamdulillah. Actually, my greatest achievement is not where I am today, how the business is doing. My greatest achievement is the lives I've touched and the people I've brought together from all over the country, different tribes, different religions, different backgrounds, different everything. And I've been able to create a family. And I think that's my greatest achievement. And these people are people I know that I'm not going to say can take a bullet for me, but they'll probably try and stop the bullet. So I think my team is my greatest achievement. In life, you have to make sacrifices. I've made a lot of sacrifices to see the business get to where it is today. And these sacrifices, my family have sacrificed. My husband, my daughter, they keep making sacrifices every day for me, and I appreciate them for that. And then I also have to make a lot of sacrifices because there are a lot of people that depend on this, and even if it's not for me, I have to do this for them. Actually, I just have 3 words. Oh, more than 3. I think there are about 4 or 5. Patience, perseverance, persistence, and consistency. You learn every single day. In fact, you learn hourly, I think. There are new designs, new techniques, easier ways to get things done, because I love doing things the easy way. So whatever will take me like an hour or 2 to do, I try to find how to do it in 10 minutes, and I always get that. So as a designer or an artist, you get inspiration from almost everything. Sometimes you get inspirations from a car. So you can get inspiration from a car, you can get it from a movie, you can get it from flowers, you can get it from anything. It depends on how you look at it. I recently got inspiration for this outfit from a tree. So you can imagine like movies, cars, even from a discussion from someone, you can get an inspiration. It just depends on how you look at things. Okay, that's also people management, because we have some clients that will actually come in, give you a design. You'll do exactly what they asked for or what they requested for, and then it might not turn out how they imagined it. And then, of course, nobody likes taking the blame for things nowadays. So they obviously blame the designer. So as a business owner, what you do is that statement that customer is king. Yeah, customer is always king, but there are limits to it. Just because you're rendering a service or you're running a business doesn't mean a customer will be at fault and then still treat you badly for it. We actually, whenever we see a customer trying to overstep their boundaries, we have terms and agreements for that, which clients do sign sometimes, and then sometimes they don't. But still, we try to let them know that this is how we operate. And the beauty of this business is that a lot of people that come around us or see how we run our business know that we do it from the heart. And anyone that sees that will appreciate that. We've had customers that come in, throw tantrums, blah, 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 and then still come back the next week. Obviously, they know they're getting the best. Not even if it's not the best design, they're getting the best service. I'm not going to say we're perfect, but most of our customers know that we try our best for them. The amazing thing about it is I consider myself as both. Yes, I can say I'm a good businesswoman and I'm a good artist. Hope the government can look into loans that aren't interest-based for young Muslim women that want to start businesses like this.